a beginning to my end. I wasn't always able to grasp the idea that time was so malleable. In my daydreams, I once imagined a time in humanity when people became so fully aware of their mortality that every waking moment was spent in widespread panic. The knowledge that one's life had an end brought urgency to achievement, and over time, that panic turned to order, for all wanted to create a world where they felt like they had achieved. No one has a unified understanding that death is a motivation for success. If only these ideals were held by everyone. But alas, I look around and I see in my vicinity people that are content, satisfied with the bare minimum, and the general consensus being that no one is able to achieve too much in the time that we are given. The idea that death could be around the next corner, causing apathy and not that of the world I had imagined in my dreams. Life is short and fleeting, but there will be no urgency to that fact, because no one wants to believe it to be true. The fact that chance and random events have such an impact on the balance seems to have led to a belief that the same rules apply to everything, and that success and achievement are as much chance as an earthquake or a volcano erupting. It seems that we are not taking into consideration that these events of random nature can be predicted if one wishes. The past can be a lesson and a form of comparative information. And in this, we are able to prepare for inevitable circumstance. Maybe it's because the general ideas and thoughts that are provoked in people's minds are not that of finding solutions, but rather we are conditioned as a society to think only of the calamity of our lives and how one can make things easier, or as easy as possible. Our focus as a whole, not being in the right place, must have an impact on what we might achieve. I want nothing more than to tell every person that together we could be so much more, if we all worked from the same manual. But then this ideal alone makes me feel like a missionary of some mystical faith based purely on assumption. And from what I have seen, these acts tend to be futile. The opportunity to gather minds together often leads to conspiracy and contempt for those who lead the forging forward. And so I settle to be a hypocrite, to be the advocate of outspoken will, silent in my rebellion. I find no possible way to impact enough people with a message of hope and progression, so I find myself that same old singular mind creeping back to me, in which I want nothing more than to achieve my own goals. But maybe this in itself is the same for all who think deeply on our existence. And maybe the reason we don't change is because I am not willing to stand up and lead the charge into the darkness of unknown possibility. And those that do choose that path, I am content to watch them try and fail. I don't feel like a bad person for not wanting to try. But it does resonate with a feeling of discomfort that I have never been able to put my finger on. Small acts might one day have impact, but that in itself feels like a sullen excuse.